Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Crashy, and today we're going to be talking about the big boy OP bird electric man himself, Zapdos. I don't know if he's a man, but you get my point. Talking about Zapdos and just how literally OP it is. Now, first and foremost, I want to come out and say that if they left the game the same way that it is right now, I would probably be mostly fine with it, but it just feels kind of wrong on the games where you're really getting crushed and then you steal Zapdos and you win. And it's great, but it feels wrong. And then on the games where you're completely stomping, they steal Zapdos and they win. So I do have an idea, but I wanna present it to you with a little bit of perspective. So the thing about this game that I think is important to remember is that it is a 10-minute MOBA. I kind of emphasize this a lot because it reminds you that the phases of the game are just so very escalated. Early game, mid game, they happen in a flash. Next thing you know, you're in end game, you got 2 minutes left, and that's basically in the entire game. So in my opinion, the problem with Zapdos, and the reason why people are calling it OP and calling for changes, and the reason why I'm making this video today, is because it simply puts too much emphasis on a very singular objective at the very last 2 minutes of a 10-minute MOBA, and essentially becomes the entirety of the game. So it really feels like everything else you're doing is just kind of pointless. Yeah, it can help, yeah, it can set the stage, but even when you have a perfect early to mid game, transitioning to the late game, sometimes you just lose that one fight or you get Zapdos stolen and boom, it's all over. So that's what I want to look to solve with my idea. So what is my idea? Let's go ahead and break down how Zapdos works. When a team gets Zapdos, I think they get 30 points, and then obviously any AOS energy that they get from getting, eliminations or kills on the enemy team, and then they can go auto turn in during that final 2 double points section, and that is a potential total of 500 AOS energy instantly. Boom, as long as you score it. Now, I said potential total of 500. Sometimes your team caps 200, that's plenty a lot of the time. Sometimes your team can cap the full 500, and that's a blowout. So I think that there's essentially, if you think about it, I think Zapdos does too much, has too much value, and has too much potential to score too many points. So what do we do about it? In my opinion, this is how I take some of the strength out of the final 2 minutes and I spread it out throughout the entirety of the game. What we do is we leave Zapdos alone in terms of fighting, HP, the exact mechanics that Zapdos does. I just want to make that clear. We leave him entirely alone, and we cut the benefit from killing Zapdos from whatever the points it is now and getting the auto scores, and we bump the point scoring up to 150. This is a rough number. It could be 200, it could be 100. I'm thinking 150. I'm trying to keep it kind of like, a nice swing of points, but not too crazy. So when you kill Zapdos, you get 150 straight to the bank. It's yours, your team caps it, you got 150. But how do we get more swing in the game? How do we get more emphasis on big events in the game? Well, during the game, we have Rotom and we have Dreadnought. Now, in my opinion, I would love to see these objectives be a little bit more mid to late game transition team objectives. And they already are, because they do give a ton of experience and they do have these inherent benefits, but I want it to be emphasized a little bit. I want to take some of that last 2 minute end game strength and potential scoring and put it throughout the section of the game where other gameplay is happening, where that part of the gameplay is not just entirely useless. So what do? In my opinion, at least from what I've seen, not even just in my opinion, anecdotal evidence being presented here, I feel like usually at max, you'll see like a couple Rotom scored and a couple of Dreadnought scored. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to put a flat 50 AOS energy on those objectives. This would provide an opportunity for teams to find a way to get big point swings in their matches from team objectives. So when the first Rotom and the first Dreadnought spawn, your team could either hard rotate one way, they could split the map and try to fight over the lanes and see if they can grab both objectives. Maybe you hard trade one and they trade the other, and so then you get their own inherent benefits, but you're also both getting the flat 50, and ultimately it gives your team a reason to focus on these objectives that are already focusable, like they're already something that the team should be focusing on, but gives more strength, more weight, and more meaning to the mid game, which also gives a lot more emphasis focus on playing properly and doing well in the early game, because you don't want to be behind in experience when those objectives are starting to come up. So there you have it. I think it's a really simple idea. You still have like big swing potential in the end game, because ultimately whoever steals Zapdos, if you steal it, if you take it, if you win the team fight, if you're able to go score with double points normally, no auto dunks, there's still big swing potential in the end game, and that should still exist, but it shouldn't be so much to entirely rip the game. But what we can do is put some of that energy, put some of that strength back into the mid game, back into some of those team objectives, and have the teams playing like a team, playing for those big objectives. That's my idea. I honestly think it sounds awesome. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. If you like this type of content or any other Pokemon Unite content, make sure you drop a like on the video, as it definitely helps me out, and subscribe to the channel. As always, friends, thank you so much for checking out the channel. Thank you so much for spending time here. Be sure to be kind to one another, tell someone that you love them, and I'll see you on the next video.